got him. Nice clean headshot. Hey guys, and welcome to Ozzie Reviews. Today I'm checking out the PAR 008 Day-Night Vision Optic. Now this optic, guys, comes in two different varieties, okay? So we've got the one with the built-in rangefinder or laser rangefinder, and then the model that I've got here is without it. Basically because, you know, I'm not practically going to be using this over about maybe 125 yards, so I really don't feel the need, you know, to have that built-in laser rangefinder. And overall, guys, you know, jumping a little bit ahead with the specs with this, basically they're saying, you know, use up to 200 meters. So yeah, I really don't see the need for that rangefinder. Now, to show you what it comes with, this is a pack, okay? So we've got obviously the optic itself. We've got a external IR torch with two different lenses. So you got 67mm and there's also a 50mm one. So you can just change that up depending on how much light you want to throw around. We've got a Picatinny mount here. So this optic goes straight onto a Picatinny rail on your rifle. We've got a manual here. We've got a recharge cable. There's an SD adapter, and we've just got some of the actual screws there, you know, to mount the Picatinny mount onto the actual optic. I will mention too, guys, the actual torch mount here is fully adjustable too, so you can actually, you know, change where obviously the beam is angled to, you know, be dead center for your shot. Now the other thing that comes in the pack is a external torch battery charger. Okay, so these take the 18650 batteries, and they come with actually 3 of them. So, all right, so there's 3 of those ones that come in the pack. Now, even though there's the internal charging cable here, just the USB charging cable, the manufacturer does recommend that, yeah, just preferably not to use this, because if you do have any leaks or problems with the battery from using this, it can cause obviously a lot of problems. So it's just easier, just unscrew the end here, take the battery out and recharge it just with the external battery charger there. So just having a closer look at it, guys, the physical dimensions on it, it's not that heavy. 435 grams or 15.34 ounces to be exact. Length of it, 16.2 centimeters or almost 6.4 inches. So, you know, it's not one of these really old school night vision type optics that when you put it on top of your rifle, you know, you're flat out lifting your rifle because it weighs so much, you know. It's actually quite nice. I do like the compact design of this. Now, with the actual settings on it, you've really only got 2 zoom powers, okay? You've got a 6.5 zoom or 13 zoom. There's no in between, so you can't, you know, adjust it to like 8 power or 10 power. You've just got to choose one or the other. It does record in full 1080 high definition at 30 frames a second. So, you know, the great thing is, you know, you can hit the record on this, and as you're looking through and you're just shooting, then, you know, you've got that record there. So, I mean, even if you were, you know, using this just in different hunting situations there, I mean, you can easily see your shot placement as well. So, you know, there's a few advantages for that. But for me, you know, reviewing it, there's a massive advantage, because obviously I can give you guys a look internally at what I'm looking at, you know, with this actual optic. So it also records the sound. We'll definitely test that out to see what the quality's like. And there's also the option for a date time stamp on it. So, you know, you've got a memory there of the actual time that you were shooting. Takes up to 128 gig internal memory card. I've got a 32 or 64 in this one. I'll have to have another look, but anyhow, it's one of those. So yeah, there's plenty of room there for, you know, quite a bit of recording. Now they do advertise up to 200 meters of use with this. So, you know, even though you can use it during the day, same sort of thing, guys. You know, this really for me, I think practically would be up to maybe about 125 yards, but that's just me personally. Now the IR wavelength for this is 850 nanometers, so if you're really technical, that's what its setting is at. The runtime of this is 2 hours. If you're using the internal IR torch, which is just on top here, about 2 hours, but if you actually shut that off, and you can easily do it in the settings, and then you're running the external IR torch that's in the pack, then you'll get probably about up to around about 6 hours of use with this. Now, as I said, the 18650 batteries is what it takes. So, you know, you've got 3 of them. You pop one in the external torch, you pop one in here, and you've still got a spare one there. So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, guys, if you run out of power, well, just carry a spare battery out in the field, and then obviously you can use it throughout the night. So a couple of good things about it, from just playing with it, I've had this now for about 5 or so days, and I've been playing with it overnight, just walking around. I haven't mounted it as yet, and just looking around the farm, and you know, I can spot rabbits and different things. And look, it's pretty user friendly. You know, you've just got to get used to the menu system on it, but very, very easy, you know, to be able to set up, because you've got there's an app as well. You can basically control it from that, in the sense of, you know, start and stop the recording. You've also got different brightness settings there for the IR torch internally. And as I say, you can turn it off and just run that external IR torch. So when you turn it on, basically all you do is you just focus the eyepiece, and then from there, at the front here, you can just focus so you get a nice crisp image depending on what distance you're at. But what I've found with it is, as you start changing the distances, so in other words, if you were looking at around about sort of, you know, 30 to 40 yards away, and then all of a sudden you're looking out at about 100 yards, you may just have to adjust the front part of the optic here, just to get that nice fine crisp image. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward anyway, guys. So at the end of the day, look, these are made in China, so they've got a 12-month warranty. Now from Spectra Tactical here in Australia, so that's spectratactical.com.au. The whole pack, as you've seen it here, is $1,071.50 posted here in Australia. But they've offered to do a discount for Ozzie Reviews viewers, so I always appreciate that when a manufacturer will offer something to you guys, because that's ultimately what it's about. So $999 if you put in the discount code Ozzie, O-Z-Z-I-E, at spectratactical.com.au. So guys, let me get this mounted onto a rifle. I want to basically run through how to sight it in, and then we're going to show you, you know, what it's actually like to look through this around the farm of a night time. All right, guys, so I've got the PARD mounted on my little Chris Defiance Semi-Auto 22, because I'm going to be using it for feral pest control, so we'll get it sighted in for that purpose. So just to start with, I'm going to run this camera that you're looking through now, but I'm also going to start the recording internally on the PARD, you know, so you can actually see, you know, when I'm doing the shooting. So just a couple of things I want to talk about first. Now, from the desktop part of the review that you've just seen till now, has actually been 2 months, okay? And why it's been so long is there's been a couple of glitches that I've found with this actual PARD that I was just ripping my hair out trying to get it sorted, you know, and find a reason or an explanation for. So one of the biggest things that I had a problem with was when I started the recording previously. Now, I did it 5 times previously, so I pretty much know what I'm going to say back to front. What I found is with the menu system here, when I started recording, I'm looking through and I can see the crosshair, but then when I actually play it back on video, the crosshair just disappears, and I just couldn't work it out. The guys from Spectra Tactical, they couldn't work it out. You know, we were just at a loss. So after playing with virtually every setting over, you know, a couple of months, I finally worked it out. And if you actually have the time date stamp removed from this device, when you actually record, it takes the crosshair away, okay? So that was just one of the glitches that I found with it, but we finally got it sorted, so now we can go ahead with the review. The other thing too is we've got a microphone just at the side here, okay? So this is the normal cap that sits on the side of the PARD from there. Now, you know, it does say that it records audio. However, if you've got the cap on, obviously the audio is just so quiet, you can't hear anything. So it's really bad. So once again, the guys at Spectra Tactical said, look, take the cap off and the audio will be a lot better. The problem I ran into with that, and I couldn't work out what was going on, was I was here doing exactly what I'm about to do now, shooting and trying to get things sighted in. But I couldn't even get sighted in because after a couple of shots, you know, just with a semi-auto 22, the memory card here was starting to dislodge, and what it would do would just shut the entire system off. So, you know, I was just like, what is going on here? I was really ripping my hair out with it. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to give you a listen of how it sounds, you know, with the cap off, so you've got an idea of the audio. Then I'm going to put the cap on to actually do the shooting, okay? For me, look, I really wouldn't be using audio myself, but you guys know I show everything exactly how it performs, nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, there are the couple of glitches that really held me up for a couple of months with this. So hopefully I've got everything down pat now. And this menu system, honestly, after playing with it for so long, I just know it back to front. So it should be a fairly smooth review from now. So the first thing we'll do, guys, is let's just turn it on. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, guys, is exactly what you're looking at home. It's the same thing, just looking straight through the device here. This is the actual quality of the recording. The audio that you hear here at the moment is with the actual cap off the device. So before I take a couple of shots, I'm going to put the cap back on now. Okay, so what I'll show you here, guys, is just a different magnification range. So at the moment, we were on 6.5, now we're up at 13 power. Click the front button again, and it goes back to 6.5 power, okay? So what we might do is let's go up to 13 power for sighting in, and there's a couple of tests that I'll run here. Is once I zero this, I'm going to actually put it back to 6.5 power to make sure that the point of impact is exactly the same. So let's line it up here and take a couple of shots and see how far off we are. Okay, so we're about 3 inches off to the right. So unfortunately, to actually zero this now, guys, it stops the internal recording on the PARD. So I'll just do that and just see how much closer we get. Okay, so we've started the recording again. Should have come across enough. We'll just see how we go there, aiming dead center. Okay, so that's zeroed nicely there. Now let's just make sure when we go back to 6.5 power, let's make sure that our point of impact is exactly the same. And look at that. So guys, as you can see, you know, I'm pretty impressed with it actually holding zero there, you know, regardless of the magnification, because that's one of the problems, especially with Chinese made optics. I find once you go from the lowest magnification up to the highest, usually there's a shift with your point of impact. So far so good with it. So now we've got it sighted in, guys. Let's spend a bit of time over the next couple of nights getting some good footage for you. Okay, I've just switched the PARD on and we've got a hare just over the other side of the house fence here. So let's see if we can get a bit closer. That's got him, nice clean headshot. So what we're looking at here, guys, is the steers are about 100 yards away. So I just wanted to show you the difference with the IR settings on the PARD. Now you'll see that this is on IR setting 1. It's now on IR setting 2, which makes it a little bit brighter. And now it's on IR setting 3, which really it's hard to tell the difference. So let's use the IR torch now. So with the IR torch, you can see in conjunction with the internal IR torch of the PARD, it's pretty good, adds a little bit more brightness. So I'm going to take that off now and save some weight. So there's a couple of owls in the tree, only about 25 yards away. Here's a wallaby 50 yards away up the hill. As you can see, the sharpness of the image is pretty good. Okay guys, I'm going to wrap up my final thoughts on the PARD digital night vision optic. Now, I'll start off with the couple of negatives. As I said in the intro, there's two things that really annoyed me with this. The first was the fact that when you're in the menu system and you remove the date and time stamp, when you're actually looking through the optic, you can see the crosshair, but then when you go to play back the video that you've recorded, the crosshair is just completely gone. And you know, that took me a long time to work out what was going on with that. The next thing is obviously the audio. You know, if you're going to have it recording audio, at least make sure that when the cap is on, you can either pick up the audio or, as when I had the cap off, make sure that the memory card doesn't dislodge. You know, this is ideas or suggestions to PARD to fix their product and bring it right up to like 10 out of 10 standard. Now, on the positives though, guys, I like the fact that it's nice and compact and it's lightweight, you know, for a night vision optic. I like the fact that the internal IR torch on it is more than enough for you to be able to just throw it on a rifle like I've done and shoot out to 150 yards with it, no problem at all. The clarity is definitely there. It's easy to focus at the front here. There's really not much more that I can you know, say about it, guys. I'm really impressed for the price, and that brings me to my final note, and that is, for the price, I know it's made in China, but guys, you know I call it the way it is. I don't like optics made in China. However, I understand, especially in the night vision world, you know, not everyone can afford to drop, you know, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on a night vision system. So, you know, they've got to get a budget system. And for the budget price here, this thing is fantastic. I've had a look at two other night vision or digital night vision scopes, and they were the ATN ones, the basic one, and then also the more recent 4K one. And guys, honestly, I couldn't even finish the review. I answered this in one of my Q&As. The 4K one froze on me after about 15 seconds of use, and I couldn't turn it on or off. The whole system had just frozen. I really struggled with both of them, and I just don't personally like the product. I really don't. I don't think it's a good product at all. So I was a little bit hesitant when I looked at the PARD, because I thought it's going to be pretty much the same. But there was a lot of you guys who were asking my thoughts on it. So I thought, okay, let's just be very open-minded about it, have a look at it, and just point out the positives and the negatives. But honestly, guys, the negatives on it are only minor. The positives for the price, I just don't know how you could go wrong. So keep in mind, Spectra Tactical here in Australia have offered that discount to Aussie Reviews viewers. So, you know, the pack's normally like $1,071, but $999 if you use the discount code Aussie. So guys, sub $1,000 for a decent night vision optic. I don't know how you could go wrong. All right, guys, we'll leave the review at that. Hope you enjoyed watching it. So till next time, we'll catch you then.